These are the plaintiffs, Mark and Jamie. Mark says they decided to rent the defendant's house, and when they moved in, they were mortified because the place was infested with stink bugs. Yuck. There was no way they were going to stay there. Told the defendant they were moving out. Now they're having one heck of a time getting him to return all the money they gave him. They're suing for $5,000 for all they're out. This is the defendant, Michael. He says the plaintiff started complaining the minute they moved in, and he thinks it's because the wife didn't like the house when she saw it. He admits there was a slight stink bug problem which he was dealing with, but they just abruptly moved out. Now he's out a whole bunch of money due to the plaintiff's impatience, and if anyone's owed, it's him. He's accused of stinking up the place.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case in the docket, the plaintiffs bailed on the house they were renting because of stink bugs, and they can't get their deposit back. But the defendant says there were a few stink bugs, but it's really about buyer's remorse. It's the case of you stink and you bug me.
Okay, Mark and Jamie, you've asked us not to use your last names. You are suing Michael. You've asked us not to use your last name for $5,000 in damages that you say you sustained from having to break your lease at a place he rented to you because it was infested with stink bugs.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Mark or Jamie, who would like to tell me what happened?
Well,
okay, go ahead.
December 19th is when we moved into the house. We actually had signed the lease.
How did you find the house?
I had come from Pennsylvania. I was down there for some training. I came 2 weekends to look for a home.
And where is the house?
The house is in Cornwall, New York.
Okay, is that a particularly woody area?
It is.
Okay. Did your wife see the house before you leased it?
I FaceTimed with her while I was doing a walkthrough of the house.
Okay.
We were both excited. We both come from the woods. I like log cabins and stuff. We were both excited. The property, we were excited about it. We wanted it to work.
Okay.
Ended up, I found the house. I signed the lease over the email with his realtor. I gave him a firm date that we were going to be driving into town, and that we would be late, and his realtor had the keys. So she met us at the house on December 19th, moved into the home the next day, woke up after we spent the night unloading the trailer.
Is it the two of you, do you have children?
I do. We had a 6-year-old
okay.
with us.
Boy or girl?
Boy.
Okay.
Boy. Unloaded the trailer, got the mattresses, things like that, moved into the house, and then the next day woke up. I was getting ready because I had to sign into my unit. From there, it's just been downhill. We noticed the bugs, the cleaning.
What kind of bugs?
Stink bugs.
Tell me about stink bugs.
I don't know about stink bugs. I know that there was. Tell me about.
Spoken like a military man. I'm not trying to get to the entomology. I'm trying to what's it? You tell me. Hold on.
Roger.
You tell me about stink bugs. What do they look like? What do they do? What were you freaking out about?
They're a little bug. They look like a piece of wood bark, I guess, basically.
Okay.
They're about the size of a pumpkin seed.
Okay.
And they were just everywhere throughout the whole house.
How many?
20 to 30 a day at least.
Where would you find them?
They were everywhere. They were on our furniture. They were in the kitchen. They were on our beds.
Toothbrushes.
Literally through the whole entire
lamps.
house.
Okay.
Our son would wake up in the middle of the night with a bug crawling on him.
Okay. Did he think it was cool, or was it good? Because it would be worse if you had a girl. That's why I asked. Having 3 girls in my house.
He likes the woods. He picks up bugs and stuff like that. And he wasn't freaking out.
When you guys moved in on the 19th, and when do you alert him about your landlord about the stink bug? Oh, by the way, do they stink?
Yes, they do. They do have an odor to them.
Okay. And what does it stink like?
I don't know. I guess like an ammonia, moldy. I don't know. You'd have to.
I just went online and it said it smelled like cilantro, but I like cilantro. So
I guess
if you don't like cilantro, it's a bad smell. But in any event, all right. So when do you alert him?
I first met Mike on January 3rd. So that was the 3rd that we first told him about the bugs. And I have text messages.
And what did he do?
Nothing for the most part. I mean, I have text messages asking him, when's the best pest control guy? When's the pest control guy coming? Finally, on the 16th of January, pest control came. And then even after that, the bugs were still incessant.
How many times did the pest control guy come?
Just once. Sent me.
Okay, after the 16th, do you call him and tell him the bugs are still here? Because you're saying that after that the pest control did nothing.
Correct. I
didn't work.
I texted Mike back and asked him if he could meet me at the house because I wanted to discuss the problems further. And he said yes. We set up a meeting. That day I received a voicemail from his wife saying that he was ill and that he wouldn't be meeting with me. And then it was at that point that
you texted him and said, I don't want to live here.
Correct.
So nobody ever tried having pest control come back and address the problem a few times?
They said that they would only be able to do it once every 3 weeks due to the nature of the pest or the
nature of the chemical?
Correct.
What's going on?
I have an exclusive contract with the pest management people where you call, they come out. And I pay for it, and they do it 4 times a year. And yeah, there are stink bugs, and they really can't apply anything to kill them. It's just with the New York state law.
Did you ever tell them, hey, by the way, my house has stink bugs when you advertised it?
They were there when you looked at it, and it's not infested. If there's 20 stink bugs in a 2,000 square foot house, that's a couple in each room, you know.
Wow, we have a different opinion of what infested. I mean, how many stink bugs are enough? I don't know. I mean,
that's why we're here.
Yeah, this is exactly. That's why you're here. And this is. Here's what's going on. You then text him the bad news that you're leaving.
Correct.
You text him on the end of January that by the end of February you'll be out.
Correct.
You pay February rent.
Correct.
So you move out on February 20th.
Correct.
So you are suing today for the following. You want your, is it accurate that there was a $2,000 security deposit?
Yes, Your Honor.
And $1,350 for a realtor? That's what? Oh, you mean your new realtor?
Correct.
So it's not good enough for you to just break the lease. You feel like he made you break the lease by the stink bug situation.
Originally,
and so you want him to pay you the security deposit, the realtor fee you paid to the new people, to the new realtor. Since you moved out the 20th, you want rent back for February and the amount you paid your movers.
Correct.
Some people might look at this and say, hey, we're both going to eat a little bit here. We'll each take our losses. You don't do that. You want him to pay you $5,000. You apparently have some pictures of the stink bugs?
I do. I'd like to send my iPad up too. If you just scroll through those pictures, that shows.
Are they the same pictures or no?
They are. On the iPad. The iPad's probably the best place to look at.
Okay, that's what I'll do. Oh, jeez. How does a person get this under control? That's if the company comes. When did the company come?
They came on January 16th. They talked to my wife. They had at that time informed us that they hadn't been able to get to the house for the previous year or two to spray.
Did you find any live stink bugs after they? I'm asking her, not you. Did you find any live stink bugs after they exterminated?
Yes, it was actually.
Because I'm only seeing pictures after the extermination time.
It was
of
worse.
Bugs on the floor.
It was worse after they came.
That one looks live. The one on the pillow. It's a little gross. These are all dead. They're all belly up. All of them belly up after that. Some belly up in lights, but I did see a couple of them alive after the date of extermination.
Your Honor, in speaking with our attorney, the judge, advocate general, warranty of habitability.
My God, these are all alive. These are kind of gross. Part I find fascinating is that it wasn't good enough for you to just walk away and take your chances, that you're suing him for $5,000.
I tried to walk away to get my security deposit, but again, I believe that he is retaining my security deposit unlawfully. So,
all right, court is in recess.
All rise.
So how many stink bugs does it take for a tenant to say, I'm out of here and I want my security back?
Well, I say definitely one. A tenant should not have to deal with that kind of an issue when renting a house from Landlord.
Okay, but things happen. Things happen in places. So, I mean, you know, the landlord says, fine, I'll get rid of the stink bug. It would take just one, you think?
One or two, maybe. One or two, that's all.
One or two. If the landlord, do you give the landlord a chance to eradicate the stink bugs? Or not?
It's completely up to...
Who, the landlord or the tenant?
They can seek their attorney.
Okay, that's a non-answer, but we're going to go inside the courtroom.
You know, this is an area of the law is very clear. If it's uninhabitable, that's it. If he had to expend $5,000 to get out of an uninhabitable situation, then you got to pay him. Even though you're a nice man, even though you paid to try to solve the problem, even though you're acting very responsibly and all that, either it is or it isn't. And so it's this real all or nothing thing where I can't just, split the baby in two. And I'm struggling with it a little bit because you're a landlord who's not saying, pfft. You're a landlord who sent the guy there, not fast enough for you, not fast enough for me. Personally, if I was calling my landlord, I'd expect the guy there the next day. In fact, I'd make arrangements for a guy to be there the next day, and I'd deduct it from the rent. That's what I would do if things weren't moving fast enough. But you didn't just sit back. You were trying to solve it. The problem is that then I see 100 pictures where it's not solved. Remember when I started to say, yeah, but they're all dead. They're all uh-oh. Did he ever send you all those pictures?
No.
Okay. There's a problem, and although you may have tried, the problem is not under control. So when I'm struggling to figure out, well, are they just being sissies, or should they have to live there? It's very simple. Would I live there? And gosh, I'm telling you, there are a lot of bugs there all over the place after the extermination date. It's, I don't think a family should be forced to live there and part of what led me to my conclusion was your testimony about how you knew it was an issue. You just didn't think it was that big an issue because you said, they were all over there when he looked at the house. I assume that you deny that they were all over when you looked at the house.
That's affirmative.
Okay. Were there any stink bugs when you looked at the house?
Not that I saw. And again, the previous
Did the
tenant
subject of stink bugs come up?
Negative.
Okay. Show me the proof of your expenses, please.
I forgot that I put them both together.
Okay. I find in favor of the plaintiffs in the amount of the $5,000. The damages are actually higher than that.
Both sides of the law.
The plaintiff collects the full amount. Step on out here, the defendant, to tell us what you think of that verdict. Don't say it stinks.
Well, I provided a vital facility, and I don't understand how someone can look at a house and there's no stink bugs, and then they move in and they move out and my house is infested with stink bugs?
Well, if they looked at the house and it was infested at the time, do you think they would have moved in?
No.
Would you live with stink bugs everywhere like that?
I lived in the house and they weren't that prominent.
All right, okay. Right around the corner there, okay. All right, so come on in here. You do win your case. What's your feeling on this outcome then?
Obviously, we're in favor of the judgment, but we're sorry that it came to this. We really didn't
What's
want
it like living with stink bugs all over the Are they like on? Are they on you? Like
you would wake up with them crawling up your leg. Our son would wake up in the middle of the night. It was prior to when I signed the lease. It was via email because
how could there be no stink bugs when you check that house out?
Again, there was somebody living there who may have been taking care of the problem by getting rid of them when I was coming to look at the house.
Okay.
I don't have an answer for that.
Okay, Harvey.
Okay, there is something called a warranty of habitability, which basically means in every lease, it doesn't matter whether it's in there or not, in every lease, you have a right to live in reasonable health and safety. That if your health or safety is compromised, and there's no number of stink bugs, but bottom line is, if it really is an infestation, you probably have a right to bail. And that will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.